Angela, and today I'm with Camille Cheng. She is a Hong Kong Olympian that qualified for the 2016 Summer Rio Olympics. Camille, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Camille. I am a Hong Kong Olympian, like she mentioned. Currently still training for the Tokyo 2020 in 2021 Olympic Games. So swimmer.
Would you like to tell us about your story, maybe about how you began swimming, or when you decided that you wanted to be a Olympian?
Yeah, so I grew up in Hong Kong, loved being by the water. Was, I think, really the first thing that gave me a bit of confidence, just feeling like, I could race the boys and beat them. But I actually didn't start competitive swimming until I was 9, and when I had moved to Beijing. So I was in PE class, and the PE teacher saw me swim, and he's like, "Oh, you need to try out for the swimming team." So that's kind of how I got into competitive swimming. And then as I got older, I started traveling back to Hong Kong to compete in some races. But I think the first time I really had this Olympic dream was when I was watching the Beijing Olympics in 2008. So I was living there at the time, and I was able to get tickets to watch swimming, and I just remember being like, oh, it would be so cool to be on the other side one day. But of course, at that point, I had never told anyone. It was just something I kept for myself. And then as I got older, I would spend some summers in the US, and so I was training with a US-based club team, and that's kind of where I developed this there's more to swimming. Maybe I could swim in college, or I felt like there were more opportunities, and so then I was like, okay, I would love to swim in college. And at that time, I didn't really know much about the college recruiting process. I just knew that I was applying to schools in California, so I messaged some of the coaches of the schools I had applied to. Some of them were like, oh, sorry, our team is full. Some of them never responded. But then anyways, when I got accepted at Cal, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to swim there too. So technically considered a bit of a walk-on to the team. And I didn't know how good their swimming program was. So I was a little bit a little shocked. Olympic coaches, Olympians, Olympic medalists, and I was like, oh my God, how did I end up here? But I think it was in this environment where there was a standard of excellence that everyone was, their goal was the Olympics, so everybody kind of had to, that was also kind of their goal, or if you're not going to the Olympics, you're going to act as if you're going, or you're going to help the others get there. And so that was the first time that I really, told my coaches, told my teammates, I would like to go for the Olympics, and something that I had been so scared to share. And then everyone was like, okay, let's get to work. So yeah, and then in 2016, I went to the Rio Olympic Games.
So my next question is, so have you ever faced a time when you felt like you just really wanted to quit swimming? Because I know obviously having this amazing dream is I guess it sounds not easy, but it sounds amazing, but it's a very tough process to reach.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to talk about the good stuff, right? The Olympics and the winning and all that kind of stuff. But I think the reason those moments are so rewarding and so satisfying is because you've gone through a lot of challenges and a lot of ups and downs. And I think for me, there were definitely lots of times during my career, now I've been swimming for over 15 years, that I wanted to quit. And, in high school, it was more I was young and I didn't put my just to have a narrow sport, just swimming, I wanted to explore other things. At the time I liked basketball, and basketball basketball is more of a team sport, you know, and I was like, I'm gonna do basketball. And I think there were a lot of other people that saw the swimming potential in me. And so, you know, like my parents and coaches that were pushing me a bit in swimming, and there were moments where I was like, I feel like I'm not swimming for myself anymore. And if I'm not swimming for myself, like, why would I keep swimming? So I think initially was that. And then, you know, in the beginning, when I was at college, like I was saying, I was among like such great athletes. And I was like, what am I doing here? Do I even belong? Like, maybe it's just like, I should just, you know, stop now. And then like even now, after the last Olympics, you know, I've worked so hard for that Olympic dream, and then there's kind of like the post-Olympic slump, like what's next? And so it's like, okay, well maybe it's time, you know, I'm getting older, like all my friends are like not swimming anymore. Maybe I should quit. So I guess there's just been some moments where I've just had to be like, should I keep going, or is it time to, you know, close the chapter or something?
Wait, then what's like your motivation to continue? Is it just like your passion for swimming or something else?
Yeah, I think definitely like the reason I've stayed in the sport for so long is because at the end of the day, like I do love swimming, and I love what swimming has taught me and given me in terms of opportunities, life lessons, in terms of community, like my friend group, my teammates, and I think it's definitely changed over time. Like when I was younger, or like even now, like some days I just like don't want to go to practice, and like don't want to wake up, and that's like a little bit of a small thing. But then there's other things where it's like, oh, I haven't improved in like 4 years, so if I'm not really improving, like why am I still swimming, you know? And so I think there are definitely moments that have tested my motivations, and now I've kind of developed different tools and experienced different things that have like always kind of helped me get back. And I think the main reason is the passion.
Then what have been some like challenges for you to like stay motivated?
I think like in more recent times, it would be, you know, am I still learning? Am I still gaining stuff through swimming? You know, because I've been doing it for so long, is there a time where it's like, okay, there's more to swimming, and is it time for me to make that transition? And you know, as I'm getting older, like how my body recovers and how I can perform has changed, and I've had a couple injuries, and so then you just kind of question like, should you keep pushing yourself in this way, or is it about finding new ways to keep going? So I think that's been like definitely, there are good days and there are bad days. Yeah.
So I think you mentioned that you have like some tools or like methods for you to kind of help you stay motivated. So would you like to share some?
Yeah, sure. So I think, I mean, the thing is like, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And I think over the years, like in one situation, that's what helped. And then in another situation, something else helped. But I think there are a few things that like always kind of seem to help. And some days it's more, you know, like if you can't show up for yourself, then you're showing up for your teammate, or you're showing up, you know, it's something bigger than just you. And I think especially during my collegiate years, you know, it's a team sport. Like, yes, it's individual racing, but you're training as a team, and your goal is what you want to accomplish as a team. So I think to think of it as for others as well was something that helped me. I think definitely a big thing that I practice now is like taking a step back. I think sometimes like you want to perform so badly, or you want results right now, that like you kind of get overwhelmed and just so focused on something that you kind of don't see the bigger picture. You forget why you're doing what you're doing. And so it's really important sometimes to have a reset, or just to like reconnect with why you're swimming, and So for me, sometimes it means talking to my coaches and just being like, you know what, I just need a few days just to relax, like not feel the need to work out or the pressure to exercise, and just be, sometimes it's like we're just go, 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 and don't have just like the space to just chill. And so I think for me, that's been like a big thing and for me, it's also like asking for that time, so I will just keep going until sometimes I'm like explode and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And then it's like, okay, learning my signs, like when I need to be like, okay, I feel like this, I'm gonna get, it's coming. So I'm just gonna take this morning off, just sleep in and then like regroup. And then something else I've been working on is just trying different things. So if something is not working, then it's going back, reflecting, reevaluating, and maybe trying other things. So for me, in my training now, I incorporated other forms of exercise. So I do some boxing and I do some yoga. So it's not always swimming specific, in the sense of like, I'm not always in the water, but I feel like I'm doing something that does help and is related to my swimming. And I think that's nice to have some variety because it keeps things different and interesting. And then I think another thing too would be like sometimes we have really big goals, like it's you want to go to the Olympics or you want to get this time, and I think it's important also to have really small goals, because then you gain confidence when you can hit those, and then it's like, okay, I'm on the right path. And so there's some periods of time where my goal would just be like, I'm just going to work on turns, or I'm just going to work on my dive, or I'm just going to work on this, and then you start seeing improvement in just like a tiny piece, and you're like, okay, I feel confident, and it doesn't even have to be swimming specific, it could be like, I'm going to stretch for 20 minutes every day, or I'm going to make sure that today I drink this much water. It's just like really small goals that I feel like sometimes just can add up and make a difference.
Yeah, so what advice do you have for people who are currently in like a slump? I guess for you it's like sport-wise or burnout.
Yeah, I think one of the main things I would say is that it happens, like it's normal, and in a way, like there's always a lesson from everything that happens. So if it's not a slump, it's just an obstacle or not performing as well as you wanted. And I think you learn a lot about yourself when you get out of it. So like the hardest part is like when you're in that slump, right? But then you look back and you're like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. Like I overcame that, whatever it is, and not just in sport. And I think it's a little bit similar to what I said before. It would be like that's really easy to focus on what's going wrong. And so sometimes it would be like, okay, let's not be so critical and think of what I'm doing well. So even if it means writing out, 10 things every day, like what did you do well or what did you accomplish? And I think something I've incorporated more into my routine is the practice of mindfulness. So yoga or meditation, journaling, gratitude lists, and just finding time like to almost like not think and just be present with the activity that I'm doing.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you went to Berkeley, and you obviously graduated from ISB, the school that I go to right now. And I know that obviously both high school and Berkeley, it's like not it's not easy. So how do you balance swimming and school?
Yeah, I get that question like all the time. People always ask me, and I feel like it's sometimes hard for me to answer because I had been doing it for so long that it's just like a habit that like I almost feel like they go together. And I think what I can say now is that I think having a balance in both, like it is possible to balance them. It is possible to do well in both. And I think I did better in school because I was doing better in swimming. Whether it's, I'm more confident in the pool, so that translates into other areas of my life. But I also think that, like, there are times where I just have to remind myself that when I'm swimming, it gives me a moment to check out of school, right? And so then later on when I go back to school, I'm like more focused, I'm more engaged. And then when I'm at school, I'm just thinking of school, and then I can like go and have fun and swim. So I think thinking of it as like separate things so that you can allow yourself to check in and check out, that balance was something that really helped me. And I think in terms of like, I think because I knew that I had practice or I had to perform, it just made me more efficient with my schoolwork. So it's like, okay, well, I know that I have to go to bed early, so I have to get my work done. So I'm like super focused, super disciplined, and like having to get the work done. And I think another thing is also just asking for help. Like when I was in school and talking with teachers and professors and just being like, I have this competition, like how can we work to make things better? And exactly. So I think there are a lot of different tools, and it's more about figuring out what works for each individual.
So how do you specifically plan each day and like try to incorporate just like all the things you need to do for swimming and just like maybe some time to like just relax?
Yeah. So right now swimming is still like the priority. So if I look at like my week schedule, it's like all the times that I'm swimming are blocked out, meaning like I can't really add anything else. And that includes like almost an hour before and an hour after in case like I need to warm up or I need to warm down and stretch, just like take my time so I don't feel rushed. And then really all the other time that I'm not swimming is either like I feel like every week is really different, because when I'm not swimming I have see friends or have meetings or interviews or just any kind of clinic. I do some like own work and some own like self reading and studying, but I do make sure that at least every day, if I can't every day, then at least like a good chunk over the weekend I have time that is for myself, and that means I'm doing something that I really want to do, or it just means like nothing planned, so it's like whatever I decide to do I can do. And I think sometimes with swimming things can be very structured and very routine, that it's nice also to have time where it's like the complete opposite. Yeah.
Okay, so what are your goals like right now and for like the upcoming year?
Yeah, so right now I'm still training. It's weird, we would have been heading to Tokyo, and then we might have been like there now or in the next week or so. So as of right now they've postponed it a year, so we're just like changing everything with that in mind. Kind of changes a little bit because we don't really know when the next one will even be able to compete. So definitely an uncertain time for everyone, really. But we're still training. I'm still set on Tokyo, and but I think I'm definitely towards the end of my competitive swimming, so I'll definitely be transitioning out of competitive swimming, but don't really know what's next, but I am looking forward to it. I do know that I want to definitely stay involved in sports, and I think it would be, I studied psychology, so bridging my studies and my athletic background into promoting and empowering the youth that are in athletics or in sports, that's something that's really interesting. So we'll see.
So do you have any like final thoughts, any last words that you just wanted to share?
I think well, I think think for one, it's really cool that you're doing this and also talking about the maybe even like not so pretty stuff of a journey. But I think it's just really important, and I think I definitely like I'm very willing to share this, and I think I hope that by talking about how do you stay motivated or how do you deal with setbacks, that more and more people can either relate or like stay hopeful if they're going through the same things. And I think it's definitely important topics to talk about and to address, and I think it's great that more and more people are talking about it, and more people are willing to explore different tools and strategies to overcome whatever they're facing. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. Like I've seen you
Yes, of course.
I've seen you on TV, but
Oh God.
but I've never I guess had a chance to talk to you in person, like one-on-one. So it's like really like a huge honor to have you participate in the project. And yeah, just thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in your future. So thank you.
Thank you.